Cameron, the bravest pioneer. No budget too steep, no sea too deep. Who's that? It's him, James Cameron.
Systems are normal. You guys hearing the song okay up there?
James Cameron, explorer of the sea.
Hello, people of the world. I don't know. Welcome to episode 3, aka technically episode 4, but we're calling it episode 3 because I fucked up in the first one.
Okay, you didn't fuck up. You did like a cool thing and had like a 0 issue. So like you didn't fuck up. It's fine.
I'll say I fucked up because it makes it funnier.
Whatever.
All right. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Livin on the Edge. I am Alec. I am the host. I am a senior staff writer at On Comics Ground. I review all the Spider-Man and Venom comics and Doctor Who episodes, but I won't get to do that for a whole fucking year because I gotta wait till 2020. Okay. But yeah, you know, you can check out all that on the On Comics Ground website. And it pissed me off so much when I saw that Series 12 is returning 2020. I'm just like,
would you prefer like a rushed out product or would you prefer like a good product?
No, okay, true, but at the same time, like, it's that time better be worth it because I liked Series 11. I liked Series 11, but like, there's a lot of kinks to be ironed out for the next one, and I hope the actual criticism doesn't get lost with all the very, I'm gonna say alt-right criticisms of it because that's what it is.
People are assholes. We deal with it in comics. We deal with it in video games. It's gonna be Like I literally saw a YouTube thumbnail of some douchebag who was like saying that SJWs were ruining Little Bo Peep in Toy Story 4 because they made her pants.
God.
I'm like, fam, really? Is this what we're doing right now? Like, do you need to be it's a fucking kids movie. Like, who cares?
It's a fucking toy too. Why do you concern yourself with how a fucking toy looks? But anyway, yeah. I'm Alec, and once again, I'm joined by James this week. Say hi, James.
Hi.
Okay, that's it. All right.
Hi, I'm James. I'm the editor-in-chief of On Comics Ground. I review things, like, I review Young Justice and Fantastic Four when I have time, because, like, running stuff makes me busy. And, like, I just beat Kingdom Hearts 3 last night, so I feel accomplished.
They just added the Fantastic Four suits.
So here's my like, this is a Spider-Man podcast. Let's have a stitch and bitch for a minute. Okay.
All right.
Marvel and CB Cebulski hopped up on the soapbox and was like, "We're gonna add Fantastic Four content to Spider-Man PS4 because it's the anniversary of the Fantastic Four," and I'm like, it's just gonna be suits, and everyone's like, no, like legit, they're gonna put like the Fantastic Four in like a little DLC thing. I'm like, no, it's just gonna be suits. Like, I finally get my Future Foundation suit, it's fine. And then like the suits came out, and everybody got mad at Marvel, and I'm like, we knew this was gonna happen. Like, I called it from day one. Why are you people yelling at Marvel right now? Like, this was going to happen.
People get themselves worked up, and they start believing. If anybody wants to apply this to anything else, for any certain film franchises or comics or shows or whatever, people start believing their own things they make up and get mad that it didn't come true or that, like, the truth isn't what they made themselves believe it to be.
I guess. And that is ridiculous. Like, everyone's freaking the hell out, and it's like, fam, like, it was there. The evidence was obvious. I don't know what made you think it wasn't going to be a thing. So I'm like, okay.
Any excuse for people to complain. Honestly, I think they're both great. And the Fantastic, like the bombastic Bagman suit, I love because it looks like a great Fantastic Four suit. But, and this isn't a bad thing. This is not a criticism. This is an observation. It's basically just a recolored, tweaked version of the Kane Scarlet Spider suit because I recognize the pattern.
Well, no, but like, okay.
But like that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. Like they use their assets, but for the Future Foundation suit, you could tell they put some work into that hoe. Like it's still my main suit. Like that thing, they gave it custom eyes. They put like the trim and like the octagon shapes go. Or is it octagons? It's hexagons. The hexagons going up the trim. Like it looks like they put work into that bitch, and I love it because it's one of my favorite suits.
People are eyes, and it's like I'm not bothered by them. Like,
oh no,
they look weird, but
they look a little weird. But like, it looks as if that's why it kind of bugged me when the FF comic came out. It looks like what Reed would have thought of to give Peter more of like a heads up display, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think they look fairly accurate, especially. I don't remember which issue this was, but it was that one panel where, God, I feel like I'm going to sound really stupid because I don't remember who Spider-Man was talking to, but somebody was saying he has a big butt, and then he just shouts, "I do not have a big butt," and his eyes look exactly like they do in that panel. So I'm hilarious. Like, it's accurate. I need to yeah. I don't know who he was. He was talking to an alien or an Inhuman, or I don't remember who it was, but yeah. I think that's fine. I'd be really happy if
found it.
You found it?
Yeah. It's like people even meme it too.
Oh yeah, people have been sharing it on Twitter a lot. That's where I found it. I don't know which issue it was though.
It literally is on knowyourmeme.com. That's freaking hilarious.
It is.
You're really gonna make me take off my ad blocker to look at this meme? That's offensive.
Oh my god. I never installed ad blocker.
See, before YouTube Premium, they changed the name from YouTube Red. Well, before YouTube Premium was a thing, it's not that I didn't want to support YouTube people. I do. I would rather donate to their Patreon than have the chance than YouTube take away their AdSense money. Like around the time the adpocalypse started being a thing, I invested in AdBlock and then started donating to people's Patreons because ads annoy me, but I still want to support good creators.
Yeah. I see. Like, I really want to start up like a YouTube channel soon, so I can do when I have better equipment. I want to start up a YouTube channel, but the problem is what's the point of starting it up if I'm going to get striked if I even get big enough? Like, what's the point of doing it if I get striked when I'm not going to get supported? If I reach a certain height of success, that's a big if, but what's the point if they're going to back up the same 10 people they've backed up for the past 5 years and not anybody else who's new coming up? I feel like 2012 was the best time to become a YouTuber, because that's when it was just from my memory, that was when it was starting, anybody could monetize their videos and start becoming a big success on it. And then the adpocalypse happened, and now it's they put down a glass ceiling. There used to be no glass ceiling, and now the glass ceiling is there, and it's bulletproof. But yeah, that's just my ramble. But yeah, we have a few things to talk about today. A few weeks ago, well, first let me fill you guys in. I don't know as much about the history as other people do, but as some of you guys have known, and they have been, before Sam Raimi, they've been trying to make a Spider-Man movie for years. Ever since ever since Richard Donner's Superman came out, they've been wanting to get, Marvel has been wanting to get a Spider-Man movie show or whatever, but a full-fledged big budget movie off the ground. And they almost did in the 80s with this one guy. I don't remember what his name was, but they cast him and they put him on they put him on variant covers of issues. But then that movie went under. And from what I remember, the 80s movie was supposed to have Liz Allen be in high school and have the Lizard as the main villain. But then in the 90s, James Cameron took the reins and he had a few different versions of his script of what he wanted to do. I remember I don't remember if this was like a later one or if it was before this one we're going to talk about, but there was one where it's like it would have Dr. Octopus. Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to play him.
Oh my god.
And he was supposed to say okie dokie a lot. And he was supposed to be bitten by the same spider as Peter. So Peter would be like, I'm Spider-Man, and Doc Ock would be like, no, I'm Spider-Man. So I guess that's where Superior Spider-Man came from. Who knows? But that was the worst laugh I ever gave. But yeah. So a few weeks ago, I found the scriptment, I think is what it's called. Basically,
okay.
It's basically just like a story treatment for the like there's little dialogue. There's some, but it's like towards the end. But it's mostly just saying what happens throughout the movie from beginning to end. But yeah, so I read this a few weeks ago, and it's something.
What did you mean
It's really okay, there are some very good ideas in this, but it's just reeked in 90s edge and like trying so hard to want to be like seen as not kid friendly.
Oh dear.
Because okay. Where do I begin with this? Okay,
Break this down for me. Explain what's going on.
So what it starts out with is what I actually like is that the whole movie is told from narration of Spider-Man hanging upside down on one of the World Trade Center towers, and he's basically saying like, this is basically my hiding place.
You're cutting out.
I'm cutting out.
Yeah, a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Can you hear me? All right. Basically just saying to the audience, hey, it's me, your boy, hanging off of World Trade Center, and I like hiding here because it's quiet but I can see everything. I don't know, but he sees like a newspaper about being a menace, of course. So the whole movie's told from like flashback from this point. So what they do is that they basically, it feels like the proto Sam Raimi movie. Like it feels like the Sam Raimi movie definitely pulled a solid amount from this, with some ideas. Like Peter and MJ are both in high school together. There is a line that the villain says in this, who I'll elaborate on in a bit, but there's a line the villain says that's like exactly what Green Goblin says to Spider-Man when they're on the rooftop about lifting the few exceptional people about like the masses lifting the few exceptional people onto their shoulders and whatnot. Organic webbing too, which I'm going to talk about, which is interesting. But basically, it starts out as pretty average, nerdy Peter Parker. The first thing that really struck me as weird was that Flash is dating MJ, like in the Sam Raimi movie, but like his name isn't Flash Thompson or Eugene Thompson. His name is Nathan McCreary, and Flash is just and Flash is his nickname, but his name is Nathan. His name is Nathan McCreary, and I'm like, that's the most average white boy name ever. Like, why couldn't you just name him Flash Thompson? And this is a problem that occurs throughout the movie because the main two villains in this movie are Electro and Sandman. They are not named Max Dillon and Flint Marko. Electro is this business guy like crime lord. It's basically like Kingpin and Electro had a kid.
What the fuck?
And that's this guy. And this guy's name is Carlton Strand.
What?
Yeah. And I don't remember what was Sandman's name. I don't remember. I think it was Joe or something.
Oh dear. Okay.
Like, yeah, and so like I get that. I can get that, like, they're not really the same characters as they are in the comics, like not really by a long shot, but like they could have, at the very least, they could have still given them the same names. I just don't get the point of like them renaming a character.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
For shits and giggles. I've tweeted about it when I was reading. We've entered into the CW territory of not giving people the names they have in the comics. Because that's so fucking true. It's so fucking true. Like,
oh boy, I could rant about CW bullcrap for days.
Okay, I still love the Flash show, but I recognize it as like a far cry from the comics.
Yeah.
Apparently they're gonna do Red Death, which is a Batman and Flash crossover.
No.
All right.
Oh no.
But
this is called, hey, we made a superhero show that's serialized, so we're gonna run through villains like a mofo, and some of those villains that we put in jail are gonna want to come back for guest stars, like the dude from Prison Break. So we have to think of another plan of what do we want to do for next season. I know, let's keep taking other ideas from other Flash comics that we can twist and turn and not make any sense, and then we'll ruin it, and then we'll run out of material, even though we have over 80 years of material.
the unfortunate thing about season one is that it's of the Flash is that it's great, but it blew its load.
Yes.
Because, like, it just gave you everything in season one. And I can say the same for season two, too, because I really like season two. And Zoom. Okay, this is my personal preference. Zoom. I like Zoom better than Reverse Flash, because Zoom scared the shit out of me, at least.
I
still love Reverse Flash.
Because Zoom isn't even the character he's supposed to be.
I know. But, hey, Earth 1 Hunter Zolomon is still around. But Teddy Sears is filming another show, so we can't have him back. But anyway, I digress. So, Peter gets bitten by the spider. He wakes up the next morning. What was it? It was like really sweaty or something. He looks at his wrist, and there's like a hole, and he moves it, and there's like a little like thing sticking out of it.
Oh dear.
And then he webs himself in the face. I shared the storyboard art of that on the Twitter.
Let me look at this before I lose my brain. Oh god. Okay. I'm concerned already about this.
You should be.
Oh god.
Yeah. This is when I think this is when like Leo DiCaprio was supposed to play Peter Parker, which again, why cast a pretty boy as Peter Parker? I don't get it, but are you okay?
No, I'm just
okay?
I'm just gagging at the idea of Leo DiCaprio playing Peter Parker. Like, I could, like, in an ideal world, I could honestly see young Leo DiCaprio playing Eddie Brock, but
without question,
yeah. Like roll him off of Romeo and Juliet, and I could probably see him playing Eddie Brock, but otherwise, nah, fam.
Yeah,
nah.
I remember people fan casted Aaron Paul as Eddie Brock, and that would have been perfect.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good.
Like for the Amazing films, he would have been like the perfect Eddie Brock to Andrew's Peter, But yeah, Leo as Peter, I do not see unless they could somehow make him look more nerdy, which they can't, because he was born with good genes and we weren't. Okay, I don't want to like go off on. I don't want to get sidetracked, but like because he played Jordan Belfort, I just remembered that like my cousin told me 5 years ago or so that his friend was dating Jordan Belfort's daughter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was. I was like, I'm scared for your friend then. I'm scared for your friend. But yeah, I just remembered that. But anyway, so what I like is that they do follow the origin from the comics pretty well.
Okay.
Because what a lot of the movies have kind of skipped out on is the fact is like, I mean, okay, I don't think this was from Amazing Fantasy 15. I think it was like just stuff added in later. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. I haven't read Amazing Fantasy 15 in years, but the talk show stuff that coincided. I don't think there was any wrestling in this script, but they did do like the talk show stuff and like and he was like doing parties and birthday parties and stuff like before like fully becoming Spider-Man. And what this is an interesting thing is that he made fake web shooters to put on his wrists so people wouldn't know that he's a quote unquote freak.
Oh dear.
And that he didn't do organic webbing, which is an interesting concept. But again, it also undermines his intelligence.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because in this movie, Peter Parker just comes off as a creep who knows a lot about spiders. Because so the subplot is that like he and MJ are like, are assigned for a group project. That's basically the last thing they need to do before they graduate from high school. Mm-hmm. And Peter decides to do it on spiders, and like he and MJ do a lot of research on spiders, and MJ's friends are like, why are you with Peter Parker? He's such a fucking creep. He's a fuckboy. And MJ's at first she's like, yeah, he's a fuckboy, and then later on she of course falls in love, because that's how these movies go. And yeah, but so I'm trying not to ramble a lot, but I'm just remembering.
Like, you gotta explain this stuff, man. I don't know what the hell it is. Like,
it's
I'm over here sitting here like, what the hell is going on? What is wrong with James Cameron that he invented this?
Yeah.
Like,
I haven't even gotten to the worst stuff yet.
Oh dear.
So this next part is like our first introduction to the villain.
Okay.
So we find out he was like a small-time gangster in the desert. He got left for dead and got struck by like a power line or lightning or some weird shit. Then he got electro powers and zapped his boss and quickly became the head of the gang and grew a criminal empire. So what happens... he has his mistress. I don't remember her name. But this is going to be weird to talk about. So our introduction to him in present day sees him in like his private room with her. She takes off her robe and she's wearing like a rubber wetsuit.
What the hell?
Because for some reason he can't control his electric powers. So he literally cannot touch other people. So like basically the way they
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay,
that's too much straightness for me. I can't
yeah.
Like on top of that, that's just weird straightness. Like no, yeah. I'm good. Like no.
But I will say he kissed like he's like I want the real you, and then he kisses her, and then she dies, and her hair shoots out like it's supposed to be like comical, and then he looks down at her and he's like shit, and then he zaps her back to life, and she's like, we can't keep doing this. I'm like, keep? You mean this is a regular fucking thing? Like every day y'all do this shit, and he kills you, and then he brings you back to life? Why are you still with him?
That's hilarious.
And in the script, it's like, this is the point. He's so lonely. He has everything, but he has nothing because he can't touch another person. It's like, get out of here with that straight bullshit. I don't. That's dumb story writing. But yeah, he's a creep.
This whole movie seems like a weird creep fantasy. I don't know how I feel about it.
It really is.
Like, was James Cameron on meth when he wrote this? Like, I don't know.
I don't know if this was like. I feel like this had to have been the final one, like the final script he wrote, that before like he just got off the project, because because again, a lot of stuff from this is pulled in the Sam Raimi movie.
See, this is the kind of stuff that, like, and like, I know movie people will probably never hear this, but this is the problem we have where like movie people think they're smarter than comic people and think they know what like modern audiences will want. So they'll twist and turn and make things like be the most modern, the most like realistic they can be. But turns out 9 times out of 10, unless it's Nolan, movie people will always get it wrong. And even Nolan got a lot of things wrong in Dark Knight Rises. Hashtag opinion controversy. But like the idea that we need to keep twisting and turning and changing things, like, you don't need to do that. If you give people what's on the page, they will they will give you the money. Like, why do you like? That's why, like, when I read reviews for Aquaman, because like I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, well, like it's so like CG and there's water," and I'm like, that's the point of Aquaman, dummies. Like it's supposed to be this amazing water effect show that like has all this like war and awesomeness and violence and good stuff. Like, that's what an Aquaman comic is. So when people get mad that like and then like rate it as like a B movie, like, no, this movie is like 90s like 90 percentile type things because they hit almost every mark that this comic book movie should do. And then they go, oh, it's a mixed bag. I'm like, the fuck you mean it's a mixed bag? It's like everything that it should be. So if Spider-Man, like, I swear, if Spider-Man literally was just a movie that was the Spider-Man PS4 game, they would sell so many tickets and everybody would love Disney Marvel for the rest of their days and it would be the best thing ever. But they won't do it because they think they know what modern audiences want and it's freaking annoying.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. I definitely agree. Like, on one hand, I don't want to, and this is definitely not what you're saying. This is definitely not what you're saying. I'm not, like, misinterpreting what you're saying. On the one hand, I don't want to see the same thing as a comic. And that's a given. That's a given. A lot of people want MCU Spider-Man to be, like, 1-to-1 to 616 Spider-Man, and that's never going to happen. You can't cover every single issue of 616 Peter with an actor. That's impossible. Because there's bad issues, and they like that Skip Westcott issue. I doubt they want to do that in the movie. No, big no. And also just like people age, whereas like comics don't.
And it's like for that specific point, I feel like fans would be okay with the idea that for a specific actor, like they come in and play Peter Parker in high school, you give them 2 years, the 3 movies of high school, and then you move on to college Peter, and then you give me Clone Saga, you give me Venom, you give me some Green Goblin mixed up in there. And then you let the dude retire. And then I'm not going to say shit. Like, that's literally the 4 to 5 pegs that you need to hit in, like, say, 3 to 6 movies that would satisfy the general populace of Spider-Man fans. Like,
agreed.
Like I know people want them to do freaking Superior Spider-Man with Tom Holland, and I'm like, no. Like that. Like there's some things that need to be kept in the comic medium because we already have enough trouble trying to explain multiverse theory in like CW shows to casuals. You really think people are gonna get on board with mind switching? Like really? Like no. On top of that, Peter is 30 something when he does that. So you want a 30-year-old Spider-Man still swinging around doing stuff? Like in 7 movies? No, that's not going to happen. Like they won't allow it because they want to keep that pop culture appearance of young Peter Parker going. That's why they keep trying to like in the newest. They just announced it. Marvel team ups like the newest, like the first issue of Marvel team up coming out in April is going to be Miss Marvel and Peter Parker Spider-Man. Even though we have Miles Morales, they're trying to keep that zeitgeist of young Peter Parker. So to keep with the zeitgeist, you have to give us 3 movies in college and 3 movies in high school, maybe like 1 or 2 movies in college. In that span, you need to give me Green Goblin, maybe Ock and a couple other villains, Clone Saga, Venom. And everyone will be satisfied. But they can't even get that done, and we're on Dude 3. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, I feel like Marvel is going to try if Sony does not get in the way and just and they don't just up and take the rights back. They've talked to Kevin Feige like several times that he wants to play the part until he's like 35, which I'd be down for.
I mean, you could do it, but like they're gonna still say he's like 20 something.
Yeah, and that's fine because like I mean, Tom still looks like he's 15 or 16, and he's like what 23 now.
Like
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, he's fine. He's got a lot of mileage and not have 3 movies of high school and be
22.
done. Yeah, he's turning 23 this year, I think. I don't know, but yeah, they can get a lot of mileage out of him. They don't just stick to if they don't just stick to like the trilogy rule, because Spider-Man deserves to have more films than just a trilogy.
Oh yeah, no, they can do more than 3 movies. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you need to give like people like 3 movies in high school and then move on from there and do college. Because I will always say that the one thing Raimi messed up with was casting so old. That's why he rushed Peter out of out of high school and into college. So I feel like if they would keep Holland around, like after Far From Home, you rush into production of a 3rd movie with a decent script, and then after that, maybe let them do like an Avengers movie or like a new Avengers type thing with T'Challa and Captain Marvel, because we pretty much know that after Endgame, that T'Challa, Carol, and Peter are the new pillars of the MCU. Like, because here's
Steven too. I feel like he will be. I feel like
Cumberbatch doesn't want to stick around. That's what I'm like. I know we have the script Doctor Strange 2, but I feel like after Doctor Strange 2, I feel like Cumberbatch isn't going to want to be around much longer.
I guess so, but I don't know. I'll be hopeful.
Because like I feel like the idea and now we have the X-Men 2. I literally think they could just do a new Avengers movie and have like a new Wolverine, Peter, Carol, T'Challa, and then just run with that. And people would sell money upon money to get like coming in the door for that. Like it would just be like so much. Like So like rocking him there. You have a Fantastic Four movie where Tom Holland guest stars and hangs out with Johnny Storm. Like you can get some mileage out of that kid for a little bit.
Exactly. Absolutely. And again, that's if everything goes accordingly and nobody gets in the way of anybody else. But we'll see. I'm tired of all the reboots. I just want us to settle down and be like, okay, here's our live action Peter Parker. He's going to stick around. He is going to stick around for a long time. And then with the animated movies, we can do other crazy stories and stuff.
Yeah. And
we don't need to meddle with live action. We can do these insane ideas we have in animated form. Because and you can do Miles definitely like later down the line.
The Feige already has that lined up. Like you can already tell the fact that Aaron Davis got that guest spot, that they're gonna sit there and wait, get like 4 or 5 movies out of Holland, and then they're gonna slide in and be like, hey, African American community, you like Black Panther? Here's Miles Morales. And I'm like, see, I love that idea, and I feel like black folks are going to eat that up, but the fact that now that's the idea is that you're just going to keep marketing to us is like, yeah, we wanted that for years, but like, you should have just made Tom Holland or like not Tom Holland, just made Miles Morales in the MCU. Like, that should have just been a thing, and you should have just told white people to suck it up. But you didn't do that.
I'm iffy on that because there's still so much of Peter Parker that's unexplored, and I mean, I guess the same could be said for like any other superhero. Like, there's so much of Batman that's been unexplored.
Yeah, but like we've had like 4 Batmans, and then we just got announced that Affleck's gone. So like we gotta start all over.
Yeah.
So it's just
Honestly, I'm fine with Ben Affleck going because like I think his casting was a mistake to begin with because they didn't want to. Like, I know it was Zack Snyder who casted him, but like nobody thought, hey, what? Like we're skipping over all the more marketable material and doing old man Bruce that we can't get any mileage out of. We can get him for like 2 or 3 movies, but we can't stick around forever.
Yeah,
so,
they kind of bit themselves in the butt with that one. But like now, this whole DC extended universe thing is just going into the gutter, and it's like, we got Aquaman, we got Wonder Woman, we got Shazam, we got the Birds of Prey, like. We got all this good stuff popping off, but like Bruce and Cal can't get their shit together.
It was just like at least like the thing I will always say about the MCU, and again, like I'm not trying to spark anything. Like,
oh no, this is our podcast. We can have controversial opinions.
Yeah, I know, but still, like I don't want some guy who thinks he knows everything about DC typing in the comments saying that I'm wrong, but
I mean, I'm the DC expert, so they can try. I'll shut them down real quick.
True, but I just want to say that like I respect both franchises. There are things about the MCU that I do not like. There are things about the DCEU that I do, and both have done a lot of good. Both have done a lot of wrong. But I will say, the DCEU seemed to have been flawed from the get-go because they did not have a clear plan as to what they wanted to do.
Oh,
and I mean, yeah, and I mean, Marvel didn't have everything mapped out, but they had a solid idea of Phase 1 at the very least, and even maybe that they wanted to get to Thanos eventually. I mean, that's at least what they had in their heads. Warner Brothers didn't know what the hell they were really doing because first Man of Steel was just supposed to be a Superman reboot, and then it was hastily being made the first chapter of the DCEU. Then Zack Snyder had his own plans by having it just be 5 movies. He didn't plan for like Wonder Woman or Suicide Squad or any other films. He just wanted it to be Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, then the Justice League trilogy, and for that to be it. And it was just lack of communication that just kind of...
And on top of that, the idea of going from 1 to 2 to 7 characters was always the worst possible idea. Like, yes... Me being the ultra big Aquaman fan that I am, I got what I wanted in the end. But at the same time, Marvel still had the right idea by going, okay, we got one. Now let's go. Bam! They're all together. Like you go
because it makes it so much more fucking gratifying.
Yes.
Like, Avengers was an amazing experience because we didn't think we'd ever see anything like this.
Oh, most definitely. That one shot of them all panning around is still iconic to the point that Phineas and Ferb made fun of it. Like,
yeah.
like the fact that we can say that after so long, a superhero movie grossed so much money twice, even though Age of Ultron is trash. Like, they did it twice. And then actually no, 3 times, and it will be a 4th time with Endgame that they got everybody to come in and do all this amazing stuff. Marvel has set a precedent that will probably never be beat because Justice League fucked up so much. So
yeah, it's just, and the thing is, I want the DCEU to succeed. Because like here's the thing that I hate about this misconception is that Marvel has to be light and DC has to be dark. They're both a mix of light and dark, but they're both still very different.
Exactly.
Because the difference
look
is...
at Spider-Man. He went from being dark to happy to cheery to dark to losing his woman to back to being happy. And, like, he's been a roller coaster of emotions.
Mm-hmm. There's, like... The differences are much more complex. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Somebody said Marvel has heroes you can relate to. DC has heroes you can look up to.
Yeah, people say that all the time. That's totally like that's backwards. Like not backwards, but like it's a wrong perception because both have both.
Yes, exactly. But there's still differences, and you can just tell the differences by reading.
Yes.
And consuming the different material. But like because because studios think like, oh, people, they're just going to see the same thing. We have to make it different. We're going to make it dark and gritty and edgy. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You just tell a story that's faithful to the comics, and people will get that it's not the same thing as Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't know. I am looking forward to the Batman because I want to see Oscar Isaac as Bruce Wayne. Well, it did say it would focus on the younger Bruce.
Yes, but there's people like some people want like randomly Nick Jonas said today that he wants to be freaking Batman. But like no, see, here's what you need to do. You need to cast Oscar Isaac and his wife to be Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. That's what you need to do because like that's the best thing ever. Like,
I can see that.
But no, we need to get back on point because we're like super off in DC land. We need to like reel it back over.
One thing I will say, Wilson Bethel would be a good choice for Bruce, for young Bruce. I think he was really good in Daredevil season 3, but back to this nightmare of James.
See, like we ran so far to the other universe because we didn't want to be near James Cameron.
I remember when James Cameron said last year that like superhero or something. He said something like that, but and then he's gonna make 4 Avatar movies that nobody really wants to see. Anyway,
let's have a tangent about that for a damn minute. Okay. Like why? Like, because that's topical. Why on God's green earth we have waited almost 10 years for a sequel to Avatar to the point that Disney has made a theme park out of it, and you're telling me that you're gonna give us 5 sequels with apparently 2 of them being filmed at almost the same time? No one's gonna want to see that. Sigourney Weaver's probably gonna be dead before 5 comes out. Like just the idea. Like Sam Worthington's like already not even that popular of an actor anymore. So you telling me that you want to do this is not a good idea, there, good sir. Like I'm not digging it.
I just. If they did bring in like a new cast of kids and stuff, but like here's the thing, like how much lore are you going to just make up from this for 4 movies? Because like I can understand wanting to see an Avatar sequel, maybe even have it be a trilogy, but like what more can you do with this? Because Avatar seemed like a very straightforward film that could possibly have a sequel, but like it's not necessary. So I'm just wondering, I just want to know what his plan is and what he's aiming for, because this just I don't want this to be movies of just shitting out random lore that doesn't make sense. Because like, and here's the thing, I'm not saying you can't build your own world. You obviously you absolutely can, but like you can't just like, it's an uphill battle making your own lore and making your own world.
Exactly.
Because there's so much, you have to have a certain suspension of disbelief. And you can't break that suspension, and that's a tricky line to follow. Hell, I'm to write scripts for a 4-film adaptation of a series I love, and I'm like trying to tweak stuff with the lore to make sense. Like I've been planning it for a while, but I just need to get a good script writing software. But like I'm trying to formulate, okay, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what can people believe, what explain to people, what can visually explained and not really elaborated, what can be ambiguous and whatnot. It's tricky. Yeah. And I mean, it's not my own world. It's someone else's world that I'm trying to adapt, but it's still the same concept. And James Cameron, I feel like he's just like really just out there, and I don't know what he's doing. I'm excited to see Alita, even though it's Robert Rodriguez's film, but it's his baby technically, because he's been trying to make that since like the 90s. People have said good things about Alita, which I'm very happy for, because it means we're finally breaking the curse of bad weeb adaptations.
Oh my god.
But
oh my god. Yes.
Like I hope that it actually is good and it's not just a random test screening where people are like, "Oh, it was fun, I guess." Because I want it to succeed. Because like they're trying to make an Attack on Titan movie and a My Hero Academia movie. It's like, okay, cool, cast it accurately, stick to the source material, but don't be afraid to deviate a bit to make a solid film. It's don't do what Adam Wingard did with Death Note.
Oh my god.
Death Note is like a perfect play-by-play of what not to do with an adaptation.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Okay,
Here,
I know
going.
I'm getting... Okay. All right. Here's the thing. There is one thing that I appreciated about the Death Note movie. It's that it tried to make Light more of a sympathetic character. It was a shitty attempt, but it was an attempt nonetheless. Because... excuse me again. I don't like Light as a protagonist, but the movie at least made an attempt to make him moral and give him a stronger reason other than I just want to be God. But again, it's a play-by-play of what not to do in an adaptation.
Exactly.
I was saying the one
like exactly.
But the thing I was saying is that the one thing I respected about the Death Note movie was that I tried to make Light a sympathetic character at the very least.
You can't do it though.
I mean, you could. We're getting
into weeb shit. We need to throw it back.
We're getting into weeb shit. Okay, I'm
Weeb
sorry.
shit is a different podcast.
We could make one. I don't know. But again, back to another hellhole. James Cameron. Okay.
James Cameron, Explorer Pioneer. I might put that at the end of the episode just for the fuck of it.
Okay. Whatever you want.
I'm totally gonna use that.
But
oh my god.
All right. Yeah. So I feel like for the first half of the movie, this movie seems like it was going to be like 3 hours.
Oh my gosh!
It's like it feels like for a solid hour, you have Peter Parker, slowly becoming like Spider-Man, but not Spider-Man because he's being selfish and doing parties and talk shows and shit. And he makes his own costume. He's still doing the stuff with MJ. You have like barely any scenes with May and Ben. And then, what is this? I'm trying to remember. So like he goes to a bank to get money from his agent who basically ditched him. And the agent said, "You can't get the money because you won't tell me who you are."
Okay.
And Peter's like, "Shit." So he's pissed, and then he sees a bank robbery going on the floor above, just randomly on the floor above him.
That's weird.
And the security guard asks for help, and he's just like, "Not my problem." And then, the whole shebang. Get it? Shebang? Because Uncle Ben got shot. Haha.
Well, that was a horrible pun.
Haha. Dad Uncle jokes.
Dad Uncle jokes.
But yeah, so Ben's dead, and Peter throws a hissy fit and goes over to the warehouse. Y'all know this shit. Y'all know this shit already. I'm pulling an Amazing Spider-Man by telling you guys again. But yeah, so the process for Peter becoming an actual hero is like pretty long. Because there are times where he's just like, it feels like he's just in the shitter for a lot of the movie because he's such a downer for most of it.
Let's work on the episode. James Cameron in the shitter.
That's a good title. It's accurate. It's accurate. But so what happens is that he starts trying to be a superhero. And here's another thing that I like that they tried to do. They tried to say like every group of people tries to claim him. It's not written in the best way, but the idea is at least there. Like, it's like black people want to claim him as black, Latino people want to claim him as Latino, gay people want to claim him as gay. And the idea that Spider-Man could be anybody is there. And honestly, I feel like the idea works better for Spider-Man than Batman, even though that's a whole other topic, that's a whole other topic. But that was said before that anybody could be Batman, but anybody could be Spider-Man. Yeah. That sentiment is a lot more resonant with me, but I digress. So that idea was there. It was just written kind of weird. So then Michael Strand invites Spider-Man. No, so then like Spider-Man gets, what was it? It was like he gets attacked by Sandman, and then Sandman just slips away like a little bitch. And then Michael Strand invites, Carlton Strand.
Yeah, you said Michael Strand, and I'm like, wait, what?
Carlton Strand. Okay. Yeah, Michael Strand just sounds better, and I feel like that's an actual name. But Carlton Strand invites him to his penthouse. That's not creepy at all. That's not creepy at all. No. Yeah. So he invites him and just basically does this whole villain spiel that the Green Goblin said to Peter on the rooftop in Spider-Man. In the Sam Raimi movie, and Peter's like apparently wanting to cling on to this guy because he needs a father figure, which that came out of nowhere. But then like the more this guy talks, Peter's like, yeah, maybe I probably shouldn't with this guy. So then Strand notices this and he tries to get his mistress to seduce him, which like Peter's 17. Peter's still 17 at this time, and that's really weird. So then Peter just rejects it. Peter rejects him, and then he fights him and Sandman, and then he escapes. And then Carlton Strand is like, I'm going to ruin his reputation. And then he pays J. Jonah Jameson to really go after his jugular. I mean, JJ was already doing it, but he pays him to even more. So now, and he's having fake Spider-Man run around causing crimes.
Of course he does.
Yeah. But of course, the only one who still believes in Spider-Man is Mary Jane Watson. Because of course. And if there's also a scene where Peter resorts to voyeurism and looks at her undressing. Okay. So like there's a part where Peter and Spider-Man notices that there's domestic abuse going on at MJ's house. He saves MJ from some goons. Then at some point, another thing I wanted to talk about is that at an earlier point, Flash slapped MJ for talking to Peter, even though they're lab partners. That makes sense, and that definitely, and that was on school grounds too, which I'm like, where the fuck is the principal or administrators? Okay. So later that night, Peter just beats the shit out of Flash in like a ski mask, and like breaks his car, breaks his arm too, and I'm just like, this is okay. I could see Peter. Like, not even Ultimate Peter Parker, who is, like, the most oppressed, edgy version of Peter Parker. He didn't even beat Flash Thompson to a bloody pulp. He just broke his hand by stopping it with his fist.
Yeah.
Like, Peter Parker would not, he would think about it and he would almost do it, but Peter Parker would not beat up Flash Thompson within an inch of his life.
Yeah, that's not.
And then he just ran away, and he's like, he got scared of himself because it felt good beating up Flash for what he did to Mary Jane, and it's like, that's but so at some point, Peter and MJ are getting closer as they're doing their spider project, and they're getting more into spiders. So, okay, here we go. This is the worst. Okay, this is the second worst part of the movie.
I'm concerned.
So what happens? What happens is that so he goes to MJ, who's like on her scaffolding or something. This is after everybody thinks Spider-Man's everyone thinks Spider-Man is a fucking loser. So he goes to MJ. He's like, "Do you still trust me?" Before she can even reply, he just takes her and whisks off into the night. And he goes to the Brooklyn Bridge, and he creates a little net for them, and he starts telling her about spiders and how they prepare to mate.
Oh no, James Cameron! What the fuck? Well, that's the title. That's the title right there. James Cameron. What the fuck?
Yep. And he's being really creepy, and the weirdest thing is that MJ is into this.
Oh,
and she's like, so what he does is that like the male spider will web up the appendages, not to restrain, but just as like a formality, and he webs her arms to the wall of the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh no!
And she's like, the male spider must be very brave to do this, and then they fuck on the Brooklyn Bridge in costume.
Oh no!
She doesn't even know who he is.
Okay, so, oh god.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's move on.
No, I've had enough. We're at an hour, and I can't do it. Alec. This is too much.
Please. There are some good parts left.
How much of the script do we got left?
Not that much.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So after that happens, MJ is very glowy the next day. Yeah. But then it all leads ahead to Strand kidnaps Mary Jane, obviously. So Peter rushes over and he meets Strand in a room with MJ with a giant pile of money. And he's begging Peter to accept his offer one last time because everybody hates him. And then he reveals to MJ that Peter isn't using web shooters. He has organic webbing, and that he's a freak. And so, God damn it. So okay, this another bad part, but I'm gonna be very quick about this. I'm not gonna go into detail. Strand kisses Mary Jane to try to kill her and get Peter to join him, which is killing her. There's a very creepy line that he says, but I'm not gonna say what it is because you've been through too much already. She's dying, and Peter says the word motherfucker to Strand. Sure. Why not? So somehow MJ survives, and Peter gets to both of them out. He's like, go get to safety or whatever, and she says to him, "I love you," and his response is, "Cool," and then he just slips away. And that's actually funny. Okay, I actually laughed reading that.
I mean, that's not funny. It's part of the whole damn script. But like
the most intentionally funny part, at least.
Yeah.
So then there's like a big final battle between all of them. So Sandman gets killed. Peter and Strand fall down. They slam through a building, and Strand is dying and coughing up blood and stuff. And Peter takes off his mask, and Strand's like, "What's your name?" He says, "Peter Parker." He's like, "How old are you?" And he doesn't ask how old are you. He's like, he sees that he's really young. He's like, "You still in high school?" He's like, "Yeah, I graduate next week." And then he laughs a bit, and he says, "Unbelievable," and he dies. Which I think that's a cool moment, because like that would be a really cool end to a final battle in a movie. But we're probably never gonna get that. Probably for the best. So it ends with Peter and MJ in class. They get an A on their assignment. MJ's now a nerd, and she's gonna go to a medical school. So she kisses Peter, even though she claims to love Spider-Man. And then she realizes it's the same kiss. And then he whispers in her ear because he's been using a low voice as Spider-Man apparently. So he whispers in her ear, "Do you still trust me?" And she realizes, oh God, it's the guy who I fucked on the Brooklyn Bridge. But it's all cool. They get together, and then Peter embarrasses Flash Thompson by webbing him to a wall, and nobody sees the webbing for some reason. And then Peter's just like, "Okay, it's a school night. I gotta go." Like, we jump back to present day when he's hanging out the World Trade Center. He's like, "Okay, it's a school night. I gotta go. Be good." And he just swings off, and that's the end.
Oh, what the fuck? James Cameron, what the fuck? And this is the worst story time ever, Alec.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was you can't deny that it wasn't interesting.
It was interesting, but it's like the more I hear about this, I'm just like, why? Like James Cameron is I can this is something James Cameron would write. I can tell you that right now. But like, I don't understand why anyone thought this was a good idea. like you know what this sounds like? This sounds like if randomly, like before Marvel went to Disney, if Marvel would have went to Nolan, that's what this sounds like. This sounds like something Nolan would have hashed out of his brain to make Spider-Man realistic. That's what this sounds like. This sounds like Spider-Man Begins, like coming out of left field.
Honestly, I can see that. I can definitely see that. I don't think Nolan would have had as much weird sex in it.
Oh yeah, no, the sex wouldn't have happened. But like the fake web shooters and the men, like stupid crap like that. It's so what Nolan would do. It's so obvious.
Yeah, it's. I just don't. I don't know why they thought organic webbing than mechanical webbing. I'm like.
I mean, there's been times where organic is a fun idea, but like when in reality, organic is meant to be like a butt thing. But what are you gonna do?
Like I mean, or after the other or after something else? But like at some point, Peter did get organic webbing in the comics, but then one more day happened, and then that erased that. But like organic webbing's a cool idea, but like. It's like it just kind of doesn't make sense to me. I mean, okay, unrealistic that a teenager could make these. No matter how smart the teenager is, it's unrealistic that a teenager could make these wrist devices that shoot out this liquidized rubber that hardens in the air and sticks to walls and has the strength of like 3,000 tons or whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, why would the webbing just like be like press down your middle finger and ring finger and flick your wrist and that'll work? Why is it designed like that?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. How does it generate in his body like how water does for the human body? Like, or like how like does the web fluid flow through his systems like how blood does? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I remember there was like a diagram for like the same movie showing that there's like a web sac in the forearm. I'm like, that has to hurt at least. That would have been felt. That would have been felt growing in the arm. Yeah, that wouldn't have been unnoticed.
I mean, like the practical way of thinking is that it grew when he was sleeping, so like he never knew. But it's like, no, that doesn't make sense. And like on top of that, with the whole plot point of Spider-Man 2, like, my powers are gone. I don't have the confidence to be Spider-Man anymore. Like, so like the web sacking your forearm just went away, Peter? Is that what you're telling me? Because I don't believe that.
Okay, like as much as Spider-Man 2 is a great film, that whole plot of him being like, I don't love that much anymore, so my powers are waning. I'm like, that's stupid. I'm sorry, that's really stupid. I'm like, if the comics did that, that would have been really panned hard.
Yeah,
but
that would have been bad. But no, I think we did pretty good today, Alec. This was pretty good. It was a creepy show, but a fun show.
Yeah. I'll try to have a better idea of next week or of what we talk about.
No, trust me. Like, we'll talk about it off screen. But no, this was a great idea, man. Like, it was last minute, but it really worked. I dig it. Like, it was dope.
Thank you. I tried. It was. I just remember, like, I was like, you know what? People have said they read the James script. I want to read it and see what I'm missing out on. Then I finished reading it and I was like,
I'm gonna torture James with this.
Nope. Yeah. I don't know. We. That's all we got for tonight. We hope you guys enjoyed us not staying on the topic at all and going off on spoilers it's all cool because the topic was shit to begin with.
Exactly.
But okay, not complete shit. There were some ideas.
There was a couple, but like the Brooklyn Bridge screwing was not a good idea.
That shouldn't have never been written out. Who is like, yeah, people are going to love this. This is really going to identify. It's really going to identify with the kid. But yeah, what do you have left to say, James?
No, I'm good. This was a fun time. I'm glad I was able to pop in for another episode. This was fun. I'm glad I was here.
Cool. Thank you for being on. And
for having me.
As always, subscribe to the On Comics Ground YouTube channel if you want to see more episodes of the podcast. We have Panel to Panel, which is every week. We're going to have that back up again soon.
Hopefully, yes. Just been with the weather messing with people's electricity and sickness. It's been a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah. Rest in peace to everybody living in that Chicago area.
Vortex.
Yeah. So yeah, subscribe to the On Comics Ground YouTube channel. You can follow On Comics Ground on Twitter. It's at On Comics Ground. You can follow our podcast's Twitter, which is at Livin, which is at LOTE_podcast. You can go on Comics Ground on our website, and you can read all the reviews and news articles we break. Yes. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at the Alec Thorn. James, what's your Twitter?
James C. Portis 3.
All right, cool. So yeah, you can follow us. Follow Ian too on Twitter. It's at Kal-El Data. He couldn't be on this week because he's having tech issues, unfortunately. But hopefully he'll be back next week.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah, hopefully. We do. So yeah. I don't want to end. Bye. I was trying to say something funny, but yeah, bye.
Bye.